Ever since I started this channel, I've done a number of videos on short series and longer series that you can collect that are relatively inexpensive. Today, I want to kick it up a notch, go up to level 2, and recommend a few series that cost a little more money. And if you're willing to pay a little more money, and if you're willing to have a little more patience, here are 3 very rewarding series that you can collect. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. I'm Kevin, Docs Comics here. As I said, I've done quite a few videos, Marvel, DC, short series, longer run series that are inexpensive that I think you would have a lot of fun collecting. I'm going to move it up now and suppose that you have a little more money or you're wanting to take a little more risk, and I want to recommend 3 series that are more expensive that you can still reasonably collect. I'm going to call these level 2 series because they're not completely cost prohibitive, but they're definitely going to cost you more than some of the previous videos that I've done. I'm going to start with this series, which is a very popular one. This is the Defenders, and this is issue number 1 right here. So the Defenders actually does, this isn't the first appearance of the Defenders. The first appearance of the Defenders is actually Marvel feature number 1, which is also a fairly expensive book. And if you want to be a completist, you can pick that one up as well. But it's also in they're also in Marvel feature number 2 and number 3 before they get their own series. And there are a few kind of precursors and issues of Submariner, which is a series that I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. But the Defenders lasted for 152 issues. The first issue started in August of 1972, and the series finally concluded in February of 1986. And you're going to see a lot of popular characters in here. You have the Hulk and Doctor Strange and Submariner and Silver Surfer, who are kind of the founding members of the Defenders, but you're also going to see Valkyrie and Nighthawk and Hellcat and Angel and Gargoyle and the Son of Satan and a lot of other characters who are sort of frequent appearers and members of the Defenders. So Defenders is a series that is still full of a lot of dollar box stuff, particularly that mid-run stuff. Say everything after like issue 35 pretty much to the end you can still get pretty cheap, and I would argue that you can almost get every single issue for $5 or less. But there are some more expensive books in this series that might cost you a little more money, depending of course on what kind of condition you want to get those in. And I thought I would go over these with you real quick. What are some of the more challenging books to get here? Number 1, which I showed you already, and I'll show it to you again here. Nice, one of those photo picture frame covers that I love so much from this Marvel era. Issue number 1 in high grade. This is a book that kind of fluctuates a lot, as a lot of these keys tend to do. But you can get a nice copy for $200, and if you want a really cherry one, you could get it for $300 or $400 and have a near mint copy. Some of the other keys that are in this run, number 4 is a big one. That's where Barbara Norris becomes kind of the third Valkyrie. That's a tough black cover to get, and that's a $200 book in really nice shape. Number 10, which is part of the Avengers Defenders crossover series, is another expensive one, and you can expect to spend $100 or more for that one. Issues 17 and 18. 17 is a Power Man crossover, but 17 and 18 are the first appearances of the Wrecking Crew, and those can run you $75, $100 each, dependent upon, again. Then you have number 28, another key, which is the first appearance or the first full appearance of Starhawk, who is a big character in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then it drops considerably from there. I mean, anything really after number 29, after number 30, all of them are going to be $10 or less, and I would argue that a significant chunk of those might even be $5 or less. Really, the only other book that I would call a key in this era, and I'm sorry, I'm staring at my notes here. Issue number 94 is the first appearance of Gargoyle, who's a minor character who plays a big role in the later issues of the Defenders. That's a $20 book if you're looking to get that one as well. But I think this is a series, even though it's 150 issues, this is a series that you can complete, that you can find. There's nothing in here that's excruciatingly rare. There's nothing in here that's excruciatingly expensive. There's no multi-thousand-dollar books in this run. It's a solid Bronze Age title, has a lot of fun creators, has a lot of excellent storylines, and I think it'll be both a challenge and a lot of fun for you to work on the Defenders. A second series that I would call Level 2. This one is also from Marvel. In fact, all three of the ones I'm going to do this video are from Marvel, but I want to put Marvel Premiere on this list as well. This is issue number 1, which features Warlock with a very cool Gil Kane cover here. Marvel Premiere is a Bronze Age series. The first issue was from April of 1972, and this series lasts 61 issues until August of 1981. And Marvel Premiere is chock full of first appearances and chock full of minor keys and even a couple of major keys. Marvel Premiere is essentially a tryout book, and so it was used to um, develop new characters, and so this would be the first appearance of a lot of newer characters to see how well the readers would respond to it, or they would also give issues to sort of second tier or B list characters to see if that issue was popular enough, if it sold enough to support its own series so that they can start a brand new series. So it is essentially that kind of a tryout book in Marvel Spotlight. There's a few others in Marvel's history that are very similar to this, and Comics presents a few on the DC end as well, Showcase being a very early version of that. And the first 25 issues or so of Marvel Premiere really only focus on three characters. The first issue, as I told you, is Warlock, and then number 2 is Warlock as well. And then the title switches to Doctor Strange, where it lasts for about 10 issues from issues 3 to issue number 14. And instead of kind of doing like I did with the previous series and then talk a little bit about it and then go over some of the keys, I think I will hit the keys as I'm going down the list of Marvel Premiere. So this will be a little different. So bear with me here. So issue 3 through 14 were Doctor Strange appearances. You had a lot of great artists on this little run. You had Barry Smith, you had Brunner, you had P. Craig Russell, Jim Starlin did an issue of this as well, and ultimately Doctor Strange does get his own book 3 months later as a result of the popularity of his appearances in Marvel Premiere. So issue number 3 is kind of a minor key as that first Doctor Strange series in Marvel Premiere, and that's going to be a 150, $200 book again, depending upon the condition. The other big key in the Doctor Strange part of it is number 10, which is the death of the Ancient One. This book has dropped quite a bit over the last couple of years, but it's still going to run you 50, 100, $125 again, depending upon the condition. And then probably the biggest section of Marvel Premiere, beginning with number 15 and going to issue number 25, is Iron Fist. And 15 is the first appearance of Iron Fist. It's the most expensive book in this run for sure. And Iron Fist number 15, another one of those books that goes way up and goes way down and fluctuates from month to month, it seems like. But I would say you could get a nice, very fine, near mint copy of Marvel Premiere number 15 for $300 if you're lucky and if you're patient. I wouldn't call Iron Fist an A-lister, but he's certainly a B-lister. And even in that little run of Iron Fist, there are some significant issues. Issue number 19 is the first appearance of Colleen Wing. Issue number 20 is the first appearance of Misty Knight, who is a recurring supporting character in the Iron Fist uh, I can't think of the word here, but the list of characters that appear in Iron Fist quite a bit. And I forget which one off the top of my head, and I forgot to write it down, but I think it's issue number 19 that also has one of those dumb ads for Hulk 181 in it, which has also bumped up the value of that book a little bit. And then the last Iron Fist issue is number 25, which is also the first time that John Byrne does Iron Fist. And as you probably know, Iron Fist moves on and gets its own series with John Byrne doing the primary artwork on that. So after Iron Fist, Marvel Premiere hops around quite a bit. There aren't really any characters who truly gain a foothold on thing. We see appearances by the Liberty Legion. We see Wood God, Torpedo, Paladin, a lot of very forgettable characters who appear in one or two or three issues, like in the case of 3D Man. And then really we never see them again. The only exception to this is issue number 28, which is the first appearance of the Legion of Monsters. This is still a pretty popular book and can command some premiere prices. $200 is not uncommon to pay for a higher grade copy of the Legion of Monsters. Then it sort of hops around some more until we get to issue number 47. And issue number 47 is the first appearance of Scott Lang as Ant-Man, which is another minor key in this run with art by John Byrne and Bob Layton. Ant-Man is also in issue number 49, 48 right after that. Issue 49 is the first solo appearance of the Falcon. Not a huge key, but it is one that is going to command a price a little bit higher than some of the fodder around it. Number 50 is kind of a groovy, out of place sort of appearance by Alice Cooper, and so there's some popularity with that issue as well. And then we get a very cool run between 51 and 53, which is the Black Panther versus the Ku Klux Klan, which also can command 20, 30, $40 each, depending upon what kind of grade you want. Then the last thing that I'll mention, we also see the not the first, but the second American appearance of Doctor Who in number 57, and that's a four-issue story arc with Doctor Who until finally issue 61 is the final issue of Marvel Premiere, and it's a Star-Lord appearance for out of all coincidences. So Marvel Premiere is another series that's going to cost you a little more money, but there's a lot of fun keys and a lot of very cool runs in it. The third book that I'm going to include in this level 2 list is The Submariner. Now, this series starts in Silver Age, unlike the previous two that I did, and so on a per book basis, this is probably going to cost you a little more than either Defenders or Marvel Premiere. But as far as Silver Age titles is concerned, Submariner is one of the least expensive, I think, that you can get that qualifies as a longer run. Uh, Submariner started the same time as Iron Man in May of 1968, and it goes 72 issues until the final issue was in September of 1974. You probably know Submariner continues from its appearance in Tales to Astonish, with which it shared with the Incredible Hulk, and then went to Iron Man and Submariner number 1 before spinning off into its own series. It's a fun series with work from a lot of quality artists of the time. We see a lot of John Buscema, we see a lot of Gene Colan, Gil Kane, George Tuska, just to name a few. And there's a lot of surprisingly good stories in Submariner that I think you will enjoy. And they're not terribly hard to get and they're not terribly expensive to get. But of course, there are a few exceptions, just like there have been in a lot of these other titles that we've talked about. As far as cost is concerned, issue 1, this is a book that has really dropped considerably since the appearance or the speculation of the appearance of Submariner in the Marvel Cinematic Universe combined with the COVID boom. This was $1,000 book for a little while there, but I think you can get a nice issue of number 1 for significantly less than that. I haven't looked up the numbers on Submariner number 1, but it's a lot less than it was 2 and 3 years ago, as most books are. But this one has dropped even more than a lot of books have dropped as a result of the COVID boom. There are some other big issues in this that are going to cost you multiple hundreds of dollars. One of the more significant ones is issue number 5, which is the first appearance of Tiger Shark, one of Submariner's major villains, and that's going to be a $300 book depending upon the condition, and that's one of great covers of the Silver Age. It's a fabulous cover. Second appearance is in number 6. Another big issue in Submariner is number 8, which is a battle between the Submariner and the Thing. This is on a black cover, and so it's very, very hard to find in high grade. And so the higher grade copies are going to command a premium when it comes to price. Number 8 could run you as much as $500, probably less than that though. But if you want a really, really sweet copy, yeah, you're going to look at $400 or $500 to spend on that one. The Golden Age Toro appears in number 14. Not really a big deal there. Number 22 is a Doctor Strange crossover. One of the few issues where Doctor Strange is actually wearing that full mask. Then you have to get into number 34 and 35 for a couple of other big keys, and these are these precursors to the Defenders that I mentioned in talking about the Defenders at the beginning of this video. 34 is arguably the first Defenders story. It has a Hulk and a Silver Surfer crossover with it. And then 35 also the quote Defenders unquote team up together to battle the Avengers, and so you have all kinds of guest appearances in that, and those are $100 books plus, depending upon the grade. A lot of these silver and late silver, early Bronze Age books are going to run you probably $20 a piece if you're looking for like a very fine copy, for example. And then we go all the way down to number 50. Number 50 is the first appearance of Namorita. or which is Namor's niece, and that book is 100, $200. White cover, which is harder to find in higher grade in that era. And then we have number 59, which is a classic battle between Submariner and Thor that also commands a little bit of a higher price, probably $100 on that one for a really, really nice copy. You can get a good one for 450. But it's a fun series. There's a lot of stuff going on. Submariner takes place in a different environment from a lot of the other Marvel universe. A lot of underwater adventures, a lot of seafaring villains, which makes it a little different from some of the other stuff that you're going to see at that time. So that's three series that I would consider level two. If you want to see some more level two videos, or if you want me even to go to level three, I'm happy to do that for you. Leave a like, leave a comment, do all that other good stuff. So subscribe to the channel. I'm continuing to grow, and I am ever grateful for every additional subscriber that I see on this. Y'all take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the next video.